So you've got this brilliant idea for a business, a project, maybe even a movement. But before you can change the world, you have to do something that feels both incredibly simple and, let's be honest, impossibly hard. You got to give it a name. Today, we're going to break down the playbook for building a brand, starting with that perfect name and going all the way to carving out your unique competitive edge.
Have you ever sat down to brainstorm? You're ready for that lightning bolt of genius to strike, and it just feels like you're too late? You know? Like every clever, catchy, meaningful name is already a .com, a social media handle, or a registered trademark? Well, you're not just imagining it.
And this? This basically confirms what we all kind of suspected. This quote comes straight from a branding expert. The digital world is packed, which just means our creativity has to be sharper than ever. But hey, don't worry. A good challenge just makes the solution that much sweeter. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We'll start with why naming is so tough right now. Then, we'll dive into how to craft the perfect name. After that, we'll cover the super important step of due diligence, then talk about finding your competitive edge, and finally, we'll wrap it all up in a simple branding playbook you can use. See, it's not just about finding a name that sounds cool in a meeting anymore. It's about finding one that can actually cut through all the noise on the internet, a name you can actually own, and one that can truly stand for something unique. Now we get to the fun part, actually crafting the name. And here's a really important insight. A great name doesn't have to literally describe what you do. I mean, think about it. What does Apple really have to do with computers? Or Nike with sneakers? Nothing, at first. They built that meaning over time. So, what are the ingredients for a great name? Well, the expert advice boils it down to this. A great name should be simple, it's got to be catchy, and please make it easy to say and spell. But most importantly, remember that a name doesn't show up with all its meaning ready to go. It's like a container that you get to fill with meaning over time. And here's a fantastic, super practical tip from the professor behind our source material. Personally, they aim for a name that's 5 syllables or less. Now, it's not some unbreakable law, but it's an awesome guideline for keeping things sharp, punchy, and really easy to remember. So, how do we actually do this? Well, it's not magic. It's a process, and it breaks down into 3 really clear steps. First, you brainstorm. Just list every single word you can possibly think of that describes your brand. No filter, just go for it. Second, you curate. Trim that huge list down to the 5 or 10 words that really truly capture the feeling. And third, you create. Take those top words to a thesaurus and start playing around. Let's make this real. Here's an example from our source. A client was building a new online learning institute, and the branding agency just started by asking them to describe it. You know, what did they want it to feel like? And this is just a taste of what they came up with. Just look at this list. You've got everything from dynamic and urbane all the way to badass and rigorous. This is exactly what that first step is all about. It's a creative brain dump, just capturing the entire vibe of the brand before you even think about the name itself. And here is where the magic happens. You turn that raw material into gold. That list of words isn't the final product. It's just the start. The thesaurus is your secret weapon here. You can look for synonyms, you can play with combining words, or you can even mash parts of words together, like in this example. Marketing plus architecture becomes the totally unique and cool-sounding marketecture. This is how an original name is really born. Okay, you did it. You found a name you absolutely love. But hold on. Now comes a really critical phase, due diligence. This is where the art of naming slams right into the hard science of business and law. The big question is, can you actually use this name? This slide right here shows the nightmare scenario you're trying to avoid. You find the perfect name, you're all excited, and then you discover the crushing reality that someone else already owns the trademark. Using it isn't just a bummer, it can lead to some really messy and expensive legal fights down the road. Okay, so how do you avoid that nightmare? You have to do your homework. This is your essential checklist. You've got to search the Federal Registry of Trademarks, do a seriously deep Google search, check every social media site for usernames and handles, and look into your local Secretary of State's business registry. Yeah, it's tedious, but trust me, it is absolutely non-negotiable. All right, let's zoom out from the name itself for a second and look at the bigger picture, your brand's actual place in the world. Because a clever name is just an empty word if it doesn't help you stand out in a really crowded market. You need an edge. This brings us to a super important idea, competitive differentiation. Honestly, this is the absolute core of what branding even is.
If you aren't actively and clearly setting your brand apart from everybody else, how is your ideal customer ever supposed to find you? How will they know you're the right one for them?
And you find these points of differentiation by doing a little detective work. You run a brand audit on your competitors. You analyze their communications. What's the story they're telling? You check out their visual identity. How do their logo and colors make you feel? You look at their products. What do they really deliver? And here's a fascinating one that most people miss: their employee culture. Let me show you why that last point is so powerful. Imagine you're auditing a competitor, and you land on their website and see this, the classic corporate line, right? Our employees are our greatest asset. Sounds great on paper. But then, you dig a little deeper. You check a site like Glassdoor, and you find reviews like this. Whoa, that is a major brand disconnect, and what it really is a massive opportunity for you. Your competitor's weakness can become your strength. You can be the brand that actually treats its employees incredibly well, and that becomes a powerful, authentic way to stand out.
All right, let's bring this all home. We've gone through the art of naming and the science of competitive analysis. Now let's pull it all together into your final, actionable playbook.
Here it is, boiled down to 4 clear steps. Step 1. Create that huge, unfiltered word list that gets to the heart of your brand. Step 2. Vet your name. Do all that legal and digital homework. Step 3. Audit your competition to find their weak spots and the gaps in the market. And step 4. Use everything you've learned to maximize your differentiation and build a brand that truly, genuinely stands apart. So if you take only one thing away from all this, let it be this. A great name is the front door. It's the hook that gets people's attention, but it is only the beginning. True, lasting success comes from what that name represents, your strategic, meaningful, and undeniable difference in the market. And that brings us to the final and most essential question you need to answer. A name gets you noticed, but your difference gets you chosen. So as you go out and build your next big thing, ask yourself this one simple question: how will you stand apart?